Okay, so I've got my dandelions. I put them into a stainless steel pot. I did put them in a colander and just run some water, very, very cold water. You want to use the coldest water. Whenever you rinse plant material, you want to use the coldest water possible. And that's what I did. So I rinsed them off real quick just because my fingers are feeling a bit gritty. And I boiled up some water, and then I let the water cool down for probably a minute or two. You know, don't sit there and time it for 2 minutes, but just let it cool down. You don't want to be pouring straight boiling water on it. And then now I'm just going to pour it. And you guys are probably going to get steamed up. But I'm going to just pour the boiling water over this. Okay. And I think I got a little bit more dandelion flowers than I needed, but that's perfectly fine. I'm going to just grab a spoon here and kind of push them all down. We're basically going to make a very strong dandelion blossom tea. I got a cover for the pot here. Well, actually, it's over at the sink. I'll run and grab that in just a second. But I got a cover for the pot. I'm going to cover this. This is going to set overnight. If you want, you can wrap a towel around the base of it and put a towel over the top of it so that you can keep the heat in there. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm pretty sure that most of this will be extracted from the first thing, but we're going to make, one second, let me grab this. Okay, first thing I like to do is I like to apologize because I'm in grubs. I'm going to spend the day today working on my squash bed, and that's going to be an all-day project. So I've already started getting into my grubs. Second thing I'm going to apologize for is I started without you guys. My apologies. I didn't even think about it. I just got up and started making my wine. But the thing that I did without you was basically I put a colander into another stainless steel pot, put a cotton dishcloth into that, and poured, these are the spent dandelion flowers, and I poured the dandelion flowers through. Now some people will scream when they see me squeezing out the dandelions. They'll be like, dude, squeeze the water out of there, just let it drip out naturally. I usually squeeze. I don't go bananas like trying to get every last drop, but I do squeeze basically because I have a life and I have to get back to it. I can't stand here for an hour letting this drip. And I'm going to rack out anything that accidentally gets through there anyway in the next steps, or in one of the next steps. So anyway, so I've got my dandelion. Let me put this over here, wipe my hands, and take you guys off your tether here for a minute. Show you what's going on here. I got my dandelion tea, and that's all this is. It's dandelion flower tea, very strong, and I've got that in. It's about a gallon, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. It's going to end up being more in just a little bit. And I don't need that quite yet. And I've got sugar, and as I said, you can use sugar or you can use honey. The big thing is if you use honey, don't call it wine. It's not wine, it's mead. And there's going to be some wine Nazi out there that's going to be like screaming at you because it's not wine if you make it with honey. I don't know how many times I've had wine Nazis yell at me for that. I have got 2 lemons off my lemon tree, and then I have a friend who raises orange trees. So I got 2 oranges. If you have limes, use limes. If you have lemon juice in the little fake plastic lemon bottle, that's all you got, use that. Got some orange juice in the refrigerator, use that. The lemons are going to give it more of that kind of bite to it. Well, I'm trying to think of the acidic bite to it. The oranges are going to give it more sweet flavor. So, again, do that, adjust it to your flavor too. If you like it more sweet, use more oranges. If you like it with more bite, use more lemons. If you don't have them, whatever. Then I have yeast. I buy my yeast in a brick and then stick the brick in a plastic bag and it goes in my refrigerator. So, I'm going to slice these things up, and I'm going to start getting this heated up, and I'll be back here in just a minute because I have company, so I have to run out and say hi to my company. But that's it. These are my 4 ingredients that I'm working with. So while I'm talking with my friend, I'm trying to find a truck with an 8-foot bed because people don't buy trucks anymore. They buy status symbols that they call trucks, but a truck is not a truck unless it's got an 8-foot bed. Ford no longer makes 8-foot beds, so I'm trying to find somebody who makes a truck with an 8-foot bed because I actually am a worker, as opposed to just having a truck as a status symbol. But anyway, that's my complaint for the day. So I was heating the water up while I was doing it. You want the water to be heated up right around just a little bit above body temperature if you're like really picky about that. You know, like you got to know exactly what that is. Your body temperature is 98.6. What 98.6 is average body temperature. You want yeast grows best in around 95 to 105, 104 actually. Don't go up to 105. So as long as it's above 98 and below 104, you're fine. I just kind of do it by my fingers. Then you mix your sugar in, and I'm going to mix that in really well. You can mix your sugar if you want, because sugar mixes in, of course, obviously, easier if it's hot. So you can heat it up enough to mix your sugar in, and then cool it back down to put your yeast in. Yeast will get killed off if you go too hot, so that's why we don't. That's why I don't do it, and I'm too lazy and don't have enough time to sit around waiting for my stuff to cool back down. So I'll just stir it a little bit more, and then I'll get that sugar mixed in. Okay, and it works same with honey. And then I'm going to take my sliced, and when I say I slice it skin and all. Those are my lemons and my oranges. I don't put the ends in, but other than that, everything goes in. And then we're just going to slide these in here. And I'm going to get the last of the juice out of there. And I'm going to mix that up. Now, you need, for a gallon of this stuff, you need, I don't know, it's about 1/4 of an ounce of yeast is what you need. I eyeball it, so I don't know, half a teaspoon, I don't know. I just kind of eyeball it, and don't make. You're not here to mix your yeast in. I just want to make sure that's not too hot. No, that's perfect. Oh, and that's already a good flavor. Ooh, that's good. Sorry, it tastes much better once it gets alcohol, because it's a little sweet. Hello. So I'm just going to, and it's going to come out the bottom. Okay. And you don't mix this in. You just sprinkle this over the top. That's well more than what I need. Okay, don't shake it or mix it anymore, because you've got plenty enough. Put the rest back in your bag. If you're a lot better person than I am, which most people are when it comes to cooking, just take a little scoop, like a half teaspoon, probably about a teaspoon of yeast, and sprinkle it over the top. Now we're done. I'm going to, now you don't want to be disturbing this too much, and I got nothing going on. Like I said, I'm going to be outside all today, so I'm going to very carefully, but I am making a roast later on, because I got guests coming over, so I don't want it sitting on the stove. So I'm going to just leave it sitting right here, and taking up counter space, because that's just how it's going to be. And I'm going to let this set for a couple days. I can see how hard this has all been to make this dandelion wine. Very easy to do. Very easy wine to make. I'm going to let that set for a couple days, 2-3 days. Basically, I'm going to do it by what it looks like. If it starts foaming up, and I'll show you that when it starts foaming up, then I know I've got some good wine action going. You want to disturb, from here on, of course you're going to have to rack it and clear it and everything like that, but you're going to want to disturb it as little as possible. So what I want to do is I want to get a really vigorous bubble going. Or once that vigorous bubble, the crazy first life of yeast is over with, then I want to rack it into something that I can keep oxygen from getting in. Right now the yeast will start bubbling so fast and so vigorously that nothing's going to be able to get in there. But as it slows down, we're going to want to keep other bacteria and stuff from getting in there, and that's when we put it into a wine bottle, and I'm going to show you that. That's just in case you think you got to go out and buy lots of stuff. You don't. It's really easy to do. But I'll show you that when we get to that part. But really, that's it. I leave that set. I'm going to take the top off every now and then, check on it. In fact, probably not going to leave that top on. What I'm going to do, one second. This top is not, it's a very loose fitting top, so probably wouldn't be that big of a deal, but you certainly do not want your yeast to explode out. So if you have a tight fitting top, you don't leave a top on it. Your yeast is going to be building pressure, and if you have a really tight fitting lid on top of it, the yeast will not, the carbon dioxide, I gotta remember which one it is, of the yeast, that's the byproduct of the yeast, will not be able to escape, and you're going to make what I call a mess bomb. It's not like it's going to kill anybody, but it'll explode up and you'll have this mess because it's got to eventually go out somewhere. You can throw a cloth over it. I mean, we're not talking science here yet, people. Clean cloth, of course. You want the cloth to be clean. You want everything to be clean, including your hands and stuff like that. You want everything to be clean, but other than that, that's going to sit. That's going to sit over there for a little while, and I'm going to clean up my mess, and then I'm going to go start working on a squash bed, and I will see you guys when that's ready, when that starts bubbling. I came in to get myself a little lunch here, and I continued to look. So this is about 3.5 hours after we put the yeast in there, and you can just see it's just a bubbling away. It's a very vigorous bubble. You can hear it more than you can see it, but you can see how it's the bubbles way in the back here and all. Well, there's bubbles everywhere, and we're going to let it bubble here until that kind of slows down. When you start seeing those big bubbles not being there, then we're going to put it into a different container. It's called racking. I'll show you. It's really easy to do. You don't have to. You can filter it if you want. That's fine. Racking will give you a better wine in the end, but you'll have perfectly fine wine if you filter it. Just so you'll get a little more clarity to your wine if you rack it. But I'll show you that in a little bit. But we have, but anyway, we just let it bubble. The reason we're doing this is because if it bubbles like this, then we know that we're not going to get a buildup of carbon dioxide, which is the what's being released here. So we're not going to get a buildup of that in like a narrow-necked bottle. But once it stops bubbling so much, then other things can get into it. So then we're going to want to put it into a narrow-neck bottle with some sort of airlock on it. Airlocks are really easy to make. I'll show you how to do it. You can make one with a cork and a piece of tubing. You can go buy them for very cheap. They're very inexpensive if you want to buy an airlock. Or you can make one with a balloon that you poke a hole into it. Or a condom, an unlubricated condom that you poke a hole into it. I mean, they're very inexpensive, airlocks are. So that's making an airlock is not a problem. But that's to keep the stuff from the air out of the wine, but still let that gas escape. Right now we don't really have to worry about the stuff from the air getting into the wine because, well, the yeast is going to just basically devour it if it does. The yeast is alive and raving hungry right at this moment. It's eating up all the sugar. It's just chowing down on everything in there. And if anything in the air falls in there, it's chowing that down too. Eventually, what alcohol is, it's the byproduct of the yeast living. And that is building up very slowly now because it just started. But after a while, after a month or so, it'll just keep building and building and building until it poisons the yeast. The yeast will kill itself with its own waste product. But the yeast will kill itself with its own waste product, and then it'll just die. We're going to let this sit, and like I said, for a few more days. I'll show you when it starts slowing down on the bubbling, and then we'll rack it into another container.